All right, we're on. So, g'day. Quick word from the sponsors. FIFO by Aaron Weston, a hilarious novel about all the dodgy stuff that happens up in the FIFA industry. And there's also FIFO 2. So, this one's FIFO, what really happens after plane takes off, and FIFO 2, how a drug dealer became a FIFO worker. All available on Facebook under Aaron Weston author, and also on TikTok. If you click on my bio, and there's a little shop now button, so you can grab them both now, and I'll get the orders so I can sign you a copy and make it all personalized and send it out to you. All right, for the children's books, under children's books by Aaron White on Facebook, you got Australian Paramedics, Australian Mining Machines, Australian Safe Lifesavers, Australian Police Vehicles, Australian Defence Force Machines, Mining Machines Colouring In Book, Australian Firefighters, all available at children's books by Aaron White on Facebook. And what else is on? Yeah, it's under the Aaron White Show on Instagram. Too many social medias. All right. Oh, yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. If you're watching this on TikTok, please follow Ryan and myself. And yeah, we'll try to produce good content for you guys to entertain you and educate you. All right, cool. So without further ado, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Aaron White Show. Today, I have a fantastic guest, Ryan Fazzarlari. I'm going to stuff that up. I'm just going to say Ryan. Welcome to a fantastic guest, Ryan. Ryan is an owner of Completify Paint and Wraps, and he is an ex-FIFO worker. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, today I just want to hear your story, like how and where you grew up, any life-changing events, and how you end up doing what you're doing today.
Well, I grew up in Midland, Middle Swan area, and yeah, no, I was always just kind of like the ADHD kid who just got bored and wanted to do like the extra mile. Yeah, no, I think I started my first business when I was 15, and well, actually going back to like 2011, I used to play a lot of Call of Duty and stuff like that, video games, and then there was a whole like Call of Duty community, and there was like kind of like different positions, and it kind of felt like your first taste of like I guess like a job. So you know, people were the players, people were the editors, and I was a graphic designer, you know, and I was 12 years old playing with Photoshop on my school laptop, and completely self-taught. So I did pretty much started hustling at school and selling little like graphics and stuff for people at school, like making a little buck. I think that was like my first taste of the grind. And then jumping into, I think it was 2014, I started my own clothing label, and I had that running for probably nearly 2 years. Which is pretty good. It was my first taste of actual business, and I learned heaps of stuff. When was it? It would have been going into 2017, I think it was. So I jumped around from like job to job. After I finished school, I decided to right before I finished school, I like closed down my my clothing label just so I could focus on finishing school. And then after that, yeah, just jumped around into a bunch of different industries. I worked in the print and signage industry every now and then. And I always wanted to open up like my own print shop and stuff like that. Yeah, along the way, I'm completely self-taught in everything I know. I spent countless hours, you know, just sitting there, YouTubing, researching, in like advertising, marketing, the whole digital world. So I like did a bunch of courses on like the Facebook, how the Facebook algorithms work, and just all that kind of stuff. So I kind of started using all that knowledge to build a personal brand, and it's paid off over the years because pretty much any venture I've like taken on, I've got this personal brand that continues to follow me. And then yeah, bleeding into 2017, I think it was, I opened up a at first it was like a photography business, and then moved into more media, and then we converted it into a digital agency. We had an office based out in Mount Hawthorn that we were working from, me and my partners. And yeah, eventually this is like the most random part. I always had in the back of my head, I wanted to get into FIFO. I wanted to experience the lifestyle. I wanted to know what like how it was to to put in the hard yards and live that kind of lifestyle and not have the stress of business on your mind, because running a business is more than people think. So one day, like, I've got to mention that I'm bipolar.
Okay.
So I'm a small percentage of bipolar and ADHD, and I had, this is when I was seeing my psychologist at the time. This was a really big like impact it had on me. I woke up one day and I was like, made the most impulsive decision to turn around and go, I don't want to be in the digital media business anymore. I want to jump and go into FIFO. So I called my business partner and said, hey man, this is all yours now. I'm taking another venture. And yeah, it was just a big thing. And then I went 6 months unemployed trying to find a FIFO job. I just didn't even try and transition into it. I just was like, oh yeah, I'll just go do a couple of courses and I'll get a job in a month. Yeah, it was six months of unemployment. So I jumped on any grind I could. I started doing a little landscaping business in the meantime. So it was keeping me afloat, as well as doing Uber Eats, like any excuse to try and find a way to make an income. I always find one. Yeah, and then I started working underground, went to a truckie. I was like, yeah, I'll only do it for a little bit. And then, you get a taste of the money and it's pretty good. So I was underground dumpy, a small mine in Mount Magnet. And I was on the truck for a little while, moved up to service crew, and then started training in the charge up explosives. And by that time, I was on quite a bit of money, and I started using my off swings to start rapping. But before that, the way I got into it was I have a car club as well. I don't know if you actually know about that.
Nightshifters.
I don't actually run it really run it anymore. I've had to kind of put it aside and let someone else take ownership so I can focus on Completify as it blew up. But I started one of the largest car clubs in Perth, Nightshifters. That took off with great success, and it was a good way to leap into what I wanted to do, because it all started off with trying to get like merchandise and stickers, and coming from the print industry, I knew how to do all that stuff. So it was like, all right, take the leap, buy a machine, and I'm going to make my own stickers and stuff for the club and my own merchandise. Just a little bit of a side hustle once again. Then I started like getting a lot of requests for people wanting just custom stickers. Started doing custom things, and I decided, yeah, I'm going to make a business. And this is the funny part. So Completify was originally supposed to be my rebrand for my digital media agency. So the name and the logo of Completify has been sitting there since 2018. So it was already thought up and everything, but it was meant for that industry. And there was actually a lot of thought that went into the name and stuff like that, and a lot of research that went into building the logo and the name and stuff like that. Where am I at? I just lost myself. Yeah, anyways. And then I fell into making stickers and stuff like that for more people. So I just used it. I was like, stuff it. I've got the name, I've got the logo already. I'm just gonna use that as my brand. And demand started picking up for a bunch of things. I went to go put a big sticker on my car, but I needed to use wrap for the sticker. So I had leftover wrap after all that, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna play with this. Started wrapping some mirrors in my car and started wrapping some other things in my car. And then I kind of like started learning and doing heaps of research into that. And then over time, I started doing mate stuff. And before I knew it, I was offering wrap services, just small wrap services for a while, until I was confident enough to turn around and be like, I can wrap a full car. I wrapped my car, and I've just been wrapping cars since. And the business has just completely exploded, and it's actually at a point where I'm like, it's too much business. I don't know what to do. It's too much demand. But yeah, that's, I guess, the short story of kind of how I've got to where I am. Won't talk too much.
How do you actually wrap a car? Because I've seen people like, do you scratch the paint up and then put the sticker on top, or how's it actually
So
work?
it's like the way I've got Zach in the background of there. He also wraps cars. He's so the way like you do it. So it's all like the main thing is all in the preparation. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned is it's in the preparation, and that's cleaning a surface, having a completely smooth surface, removing off any particles or anything that can get underneath the wrap, having a good atmosphere, no wind or dust build up. So yeah, you pretty much, like, how it works is you clean the panel. You clean it with just like a soapy water, like wipe it down. I get a clay bar afterwards, to a clay bar, anything else that you've missed. Then after that, you get isopropyl spray to actually alcohol it up, and then you lay the wrap over it. And depending on what panel you're doing, is just how you want to like heat it, whether it needs to be stretched and stuff like that, because wrap's really stretchy, and it also has like an air release particles in it. So looking up to it microscopically, you've got all these tiny little like particle holes, if that makes sense, like microscopical holes, and you're able to push the air out when there's like air bubbles in it and all that kind of stuff. And then once the wrap's on it, you get a heat gun, you heat it, and like sets the glue and sets the wrap to the car. Pretty much how it works.
So if you change your mind and you want to go back to your normal paint job, can you just peel that wrap off?
Yeah, so it's got to be done correctly. So like for example, we had a car come through last week or the week before, and we had a full car wrap, and he's just like, yeah, I just want to go back to my original paint. And so we stripped it for him, because people, if you rip the wrap straight off without doing it correctly, you've got problems of damaging the paint, damaging the clear coat, and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a process of like heating it and slowly pulling it off, because you're kind of softening up the glue, and just like peeling off that way.
Was there any issues with starting your business up? Actually, ask more about Nightshifters. Just looking what I've written down here. So what is Nightshifters anyway? Do you guys do like car runs or get-togethers, or what's
Yeah. So it all started, me and one of my old mates. I bought a VF Commodore, and I wanted like some car buddies and stuff like that. So going back to my personal following, I was able to kind of build this little thing. We called it Flexing Fast Friday, and it was like a Friday night cruise where every third week I'd run a cruise, because that would be my off swing from work. We'd run like a cruise where we'd set up a map and just be meet points, and we did like 3 of those. Well, I mean, I did one, and then people who couldn't make it, there was like 20, not even 20 people, like 12 people at the first one. The next one, like 20 people or so rocked up, and then the third one we did, like quite a bunch of people rocked up, and we're like, oh. And then the fourth one, I remember rocking up to the fourth one just thinking it was going to be like the others, and I pulled into like the Hillary's car park, and there was like 100 plus cars, and I was like, what have I done? Yeah. So and in Perth, man, every man and his dog has started some kind of car club, and people were just like, hey, you should start a car club. And I thought about it for ages, and then bit the bullet and made a car club, just to give it a bit of a name, and really disassociate my personal name and stuff from it.
Can any cars, or is it only like?
Yeah, it was all about. Yeah, it was all about every car. It was purely, I did it, like my whole aim with it was to give a safe space, a safe, like inviting space for the community, because these days the community of the young car enthusiasts is just very toxic, and it's not healthy like it should be. People are scared to go out and take their cars out without people bagging them out, and it just makes people not want to go, or like childish drama, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to create that like safe space for people to come and not feel judged or actually feel confident.
Do you ever have any issues with the cops and stuff like that, or?
When we started out, like it was actually pretty good for a little while, and as we got bigger, yeah, we had a lot of police attention. So we went out of our way to actually go reach out to the police, and then we created a relationship with the they've got a, hey Zach, what's that squad they use? What's that police squad? You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, there's like this, I can't remember what they're called, but there's like this police squad around like the car scene, and we just worked with them, and had interviews with them, explain what we're trying to do, so they could get all the cops off our back, and they would just come to our cruises and make sure everyone's behaving themselves. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We just want people to behave themselves and have a good time.
Do you get many idiots coming on your cruise, like speeding and doing burnouts, all that type of stuff? Is that like a normal thing? Or
we did, like for a while we did, and then I think we were like one of the only clubs that actually got this reputation of no hooning, because we were so heavy on that. We were like, no, like we don't like hoons. It just ruins everything for everyone else. It's what's destroying this car scene that's out there. And then just recently, like just the last couple we did or so, it's been really, people are actually really respectful and are there for the right reasons, and they know not to misbehave, because everyone else there will not let them misbehave.
That's a pretty good setup. Where do you guys cruise to?
All over the place. There's like a lot of like we'll set up maps for different events. We've got we'd have like north of the river cruise or south of the river cruise, or kind of just in the middle, coastal, and then there's just main hotspots. Like we'd start at the SciTech car park, and it's always a search just trying to look for the biggest car park, especially with like the volume that we get now. The last cruise we had was probably 500 to 600 cars. Yeah, so it's quite a big gathering we do.
So I guess Bunnings car parks will probably be the go for you guys.
That's it. We always do the Bunnings car parks. Yeah.
Hey, we'll jump onto FIFO. What did you not like about it? Because it looks like you didn't actually enjoy it that much.
So I did for a while. I think obviously the biggest thing that everyone, I wouldn't say everyone, but myself, was the money was good. The money was amazing. It was the lifestyle of being able to disappear for 2 weeks, come back for 1 week and do whatever I want was great. I eventually, after like a year and a half or whatever it was, I just got bored. It felt like I was wishing away my time to want to come home and be with my friends, and the fact of I was missing out on so many things, like important dates, friends' birthdays, family events, Christmas, New Year's. Like it was just not the life I wanted to be completely stuck in forever. I can understand why people do it. I know a lot of people in the FIFA world, they absolutely love it. I just felt like personally for myself, it wasn't something I would do long term. And when I started doing my business and it started picking up work, it was like an end of the cycle. So I'd go away for 2 weeks, and then every night I'd be like sitting there on my laptop up north, booking in work, but not having enough time to talk to my friends for when I come back. And then I'd come home for that 1 week and I'd just work that whole week on my business. So one day I just bit the bullet and told them I'm not coming back.
Was it easier to start up your business? I know you were saying you had lots of jobs coming in, but was it easy to find like the warehouse or wherever you do it from and all this type of stuff? Or was that
So
hard?
I got really fortunate. So where I am, I share with my partners. I have partners called their business is Elite Lab Works, and they're in high-end detailers. So they're very like low key, and they had this building at first, and then after our like partnership of always working together and creating this partnership, eventually they invited me to come move in with them. and share the warehouse space. So ever since then, it's been a really good connection here. And yeah, we've just been like building off each other and helping each other's growth. And we're quite known in like, yeah, the automotive scene. So yeah, it's become really good.
That's pretty sweet. Hey, you want to jump in bipolar and ADD? So what's the go with bipolar, and yeah, tell us what you experienced and stuff like that.
What I experience is taking these things every day. It's actually it's insane. It's funny because it's not something I really talk about. And at first I was in denial for a really long time. I was prompted by one of my ex-partners at the time to go seek help, because she had concerns that I may be bipolar. I saw a psychiatrist for about 6 months before I was diagnosed, and you have to like, it's a big process. Like they've got to know every single detail of your life, start to finish. They got to know all the choices you've made, all the life decisions that's happened, and then they've got to monitor you for that while, and just do a bunch of stuff with you for that 6 months, to then come back to you and be like, so here's a diagnosis. You sit in a 2% category of ADHD and bipolar type 2. And there's 3 types of bipolar. I'm not the bipolar one, which is a really serious one, is the instant fluctuation of moods. And then the bipolar 2 is I like to call it seasonal moods, where your body is very, like, your brain is very unpredictable on what it's going to feel and what it's going to do. One day you'll wake up motivated, and then or the next day you could wake up depressed. But the way that it's always worked for me is it works in seasons. So like I would go through a big stage, like if that was like the line of my moods, you could go through like 3 months of just being on top, and it'd give you this feeling of like euphoria and being on top of everyone, feeling better than everyone, huge ego, unstoppable, all this kind of stuff. And then I could also go down into a 3 months of depression, worthlessness, and sit there for a while and stuff. But there was never really a middle ground. So what the medication does for me is it sits me in the middle ground. So that's it's called lithium carbonate, which is what I take for my mood stabilization, and that just keeps me at like a middle point. Obviously, it still fluctuates a little. You're never going to hit it on the head and be perfect. But it definitely helped me take control of a lot of my decisions and moods. And then I've got like my other medication, which just sits me that little bit higher than flatline, and it keeps me like motivated and going and happy. And yeah, but it's not like, doesn't force you to be happy. Like you still get down sometimes, all the time. It's just natural. So it makes you feel like a natural human being again.
Have you ever had any, like when you were in your low lows, did you ever have any like real like suicidal thoughts or whatever? Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There was definitely been tough times. But I've always lived through the fact of, I've made it through my worst before, I'll make it through anything.
yeah.
And I live by that route always. I've hit the ground like really hard before. Like it was, like I was saying before, I went from running a digital media business, we were thriving, to being unemployed for 6 months. And that was a really hard hit low, but I just did everything I could to keep myself going and keep everything afloat. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So what's in the future for you? Like if you could choose the path that you want to go down, like everything works out sweet as, where do you want to be 3 years, 5 years from now?
I think about this a lot. I really want to keep doing what I'm doing. We'd like to move into a larger space, and have more team members for sure. That'd be really kind of the goal, is to have more team members and just like always flat out, you know, and they'll really want to be that known rap business in Perth that everyone wants to go to. Like you look over east, you've got Eye Candy Motorsports, for example. Everyone wants to go to them purely for their name.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of where I want to be in 3 years. I forgot to really mention, you probably don't even know, but because we do vinyl wraps and paint, but nobody actually knows that we do a lot of other services as well in the digital media world. We brought back a bunch of services from my whole business, hit up my old partners that I used to work with, and we collaborated. And you know, we do website development, marketing, and advertising, and SEO optimization and stuff like that. So I'd like to keep progressing in what I originally started for Completify, which is meant to be the complete package.
Yeah.
And the one-stop shop for everything. So yeah, 3 years from now, 3 to 5 years from now, I'd like to have more team members, bigger shop, and just more of a known presence out there, and you know, doing good things for the community, even running like what do you call it, like workshops and stuff like that. Because I've known since being in this industry, Perth has no rap workshops. You really can't find any training at all in Perth.
That'd be a pretty big market for you then. Have people reached out for you about that? Like, can you teach me how to rap and stuff? Or
all the time, especially on TikTok. It's really funny. Like on TikTok, I get flat out messages of, "Hey, you're hiring? I'd love to learn." Like it's on everything. It's nearly every day, just people wanting to volunteer and learn. But like, I'm really open. Like I'm not. When I was getting into this industry, there was no one in this industry likes to share their knowledge. It's a very, very competitive market. Except for Zach, who's sitting over there, helped me out a lot. So
you can jump on the screen if you want to say hi.
No, you can say over there.
It's like, this is a Ryan show.
He always comes in and you know, gives me a hand and stuff like that, because I'm a one-man show when it comes to rapping here. And you know, I know a few rappers that do, you know, every now and then they come and give me a hand, especially without the full vehicle raps. It's a big job. So
what's stopping you then? It sounds like, God, you got so much stuff about to happen, about to explode up in your world. What's stopping you from grabbing some of these people off TikTok or whatever and training them up, getting them to work for you?
Time.
Okay.
It's I've got someone else who works for me at the moment. So I've got an employee currently, and he's been with me for, I think, 5 months. I'm not too sure now.
Yeah.
I think about 4 months. And from day one, I told him how I was going to teach him. Like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need another rapper, and like I'm gonna need to teach you. And it's been 4 months, and we have not had the time for me to physically teach him, because that's the thing with running a business, is there's non-stop work. You know, I do like 17-hour days or more. You know, you start at 7 in the morning, and last night I was here to 1 a.m. So
is lots of that office work? Could you get like
absolutely
employ an office person to free up your time?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked into it. But one of the biggest things that I've learned is, if you don't need to, don't. Like,
sounds like you need to though.
Oh yeah, I know, but like I'm one of those, I guess I'm just being a tight ass at the end of the day. Like, because like I was talking to my partners about it. I was like, you know, I'm really like on the edge of getting an admin to do all my work, but we're still just not at that point to be ready to take that leap, because it's things like there's a lot of ongoing costs that are still need to be like built. You know, like from an outsider's perspective, we look like we're a shop that's you know, we're fully functionable, and it's like, no, we're still building. We've got a long way to go. You know, I've got big machines that still need to be purchased because I don't want to lease. I was looking into leasing like a big vinyl cutter printer. And you know, you're looking at 30 grand for one of those machines. It's quite hectic, but it's not something that you just go and buy within budget. It's like the business has to save up for that, you know. So it's, and then you've got to pay yourself, you've got to pay your employee. You know, it's just a big step to employ someone. 100%. It's a huge risk taker.
Are you the number one vinyl place in Perth at the moment, or is there much competition going around?
Oh, there's heaps of competition. I'm very well known, for sure. Like, because of my following and because I use Nightshifters to help boost my brand, it's really helped get a lot of business through. But I've made like friends with quite a few of the places around. At first, I was that new kid on the block who everyone was like, "Who's this guy?" As you're doing business, you've got competitors. People won't like you. Yep. My whole point with this is that there's enough work to go around for all of us. There's enough work. So, yeah, I work pretty close with a few of the guys, and I send them work when either I don't want it or I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How much does it cost to wrap a car? No, not your, like, I don't know your like one because they need to know that. But like, if I was to bring a car in, or somebody else is bringing a car in, like a normal Holden Commodore or whatever, and go, can you full body wrap this? How much are you looking at?
Yeah, so it always comes down to, it's a big thing, you know. I get this question every day. Yeah, how much to wrap a car? And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, well, what car is it? Is it a full drive? Is it a sedan, SUV, coupe, mini, whatever? You're looking at, like, let's say someone bought a VF Commodore in.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way to put it. And it also comes down to what brand of vinyl they want. You know, we're the only place in Perth that uses a brand called Nosotech, which is a very, very high-end vinyl. It looks like paint, and you're looking at, like, the prices of that roll of vinyl is extreme. It's out there, but then you may use more of the budget range, like the Tech Wrap series, which is what I wrap my 335 in. Brilliant colors. They're just more on the budget side of wrap. Doesn't mean it's any good or worse in quality. It's just different suppliers and stuff like that. So let's say, yeah, someone brought in a black VF Commodore, paintwork's immaculate already, doesn't need any refining. No, nothing wrong with it. For a standard kind of color, you're looking at $3.5 to $3,800, and that's on the good side of the market.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people who turn around and go like, oh, that's an insane amount of money, and that's the biggest thing in the vinyl world. People don't understand how difficult it is to wrap a car. It's a really, really big process. You know, you got to completely strip a car of all of its parts and wrap everything and put it back together correctly.
Oh, so you literally take off the doors, take off the panels.
So you don't always take the doors off unless you're wrapping the door sills. So I mainly only work with closed door wraps, which means when you open up the door, the inside of the door and the door trim is still the original paint color.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing of doing a closed door respray on a car. Exact same thing. But then obviously, if you want to pay extra to get the whole car covered as best you can, like obviously you're not going to wrap an engine bay because it's just impractical and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's a lot of extra cost to do that, but you usually pull off the front bumper comes off, the side skirts come off, the rear bumper comes off, like trims come off. Usually just poke out the front fenders. Yeah, there's a lot of pulling apart, and it just comes down to what car you're working on, really. So like I've got the good thing is like, I mean, I've got a party bus that I'm wrapping this weekend. And good things like with things like that, you don't need to pull anything off. That's just smack straight back on, straight on there. So that's good stuff like that.
Hey, guess what, Ryan? We've hit the 40-minute mark, mate.
Oh, have we actually? I talk too much.
The goes quick, eh? What have I got to wrap the show up? Hey, where can people find you online? Give yourself a plug for everything.
Yeah, just literally like hit up at Completify on all of the socials, or my TikTok is I think it's like Ryan.Fazzarlari, and same as my personal Instagram is at Ryan.Fazzarlari. Yeah, it's pretty much just the main platforms that I use. So I do all my stuff there.
Cool. Well, I just want to say a massive thanks for coming on the show. Did you enjoy yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sweet as. I'll wrap up the Zoom first. Well, yeah, that's a wrap. I'd like to thank Ryan again for coming on the show. And I'd like to thank you, the listener, for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast and have a fantastic day. All right, bye.